Dr. Ramu, Professor and Head of Computer Science Engineering, Narsimha Engineering College, Hyderabad. In last class, we have seen that data independence and the structure of DBMS. In today's class, we are going to see the database design and ER model. Right here, database design, organization of data according to the database model, right? So whatever you required, so if you want to manage, if you want to design data according to the database model, that is called as a database design. So what is the purpose of the database design? It is going to improve the data consistency, right? And the next point, simplifies the maintenance. These two things you are going to concentrate. And the key aspects, the step-by-step process and ER model plays a crucial role in the initial stages, right? For the designing, you are going to use the model is the ER, entity relationship model, right? So for this design, we require the 6 phases. First one is the requirement phase and followed by the conceptual database design and logical database design and the schema refinement, physical database design and the application and security design. We'll see the one by one. First one is the requirement analysis. For example, the X is a customer, right? He's approached you, right? So as a developer approach, the X is a customer is approached the developer to design some application to their company, right? The developer is going to check the requirements, right? So what are the requirements? For example, X is a customer is a bank, right? The bank is approached, the bank employee is approached one developer to develop an application, right? Is a application is a ATM mission, right? We need to develop a software for the ATM mission, right? If you want to develop an application for the ATM mission, what he is going to do, right? He is going to tell all the requirements, right? So what is the process, right? How we are going to expect it, what kind of output you are going to expect, right? These kind of details he is going to collect from the respective bank employee and he is going to start the design, right? This is called as a requirements. So requirements means what are the requirements he is going to, right, fulfill end of the application, right? The purpose of this understanding the data needs and the applications and the operations what you required. The process gathering the organize the user requirements and the user automate the tools and for efficient analysis. Got it? And the outcome, the clear understanding of what the database must achieve. Got it? This is the requirement. This is the initial phase is going to play a vital role for the database design. And the next, the conceptual design and database. The purpose, right? Creating the high level description of the ER model. Purpose, right? Designing phase. And the goal to simple and the user focused data representation. Purpose of the ER model, right? ER model, it is going to give the clear view and visual representation of the database design. And the outcome, the blueprints of the further database design stages, right? So what are the design you are going to provide in the ER model? That ER model gives a blueprint for the future what is database. For example, if you want to build an house, you directly are not going to build the house. What you're going to do? You're going to approach an architect. The architect is going to give the blueprint of your house, right? Based on the blueprint only, you are going to start construction of your right house. Yes or no? The same here also. The ER model is nothing but the planning of your house. ER model is nothing but the planning of your house, right? The based on the planning of your house, what you're going to do, you're going to build construct your house, right? The same here also, based on the ER model, you're going to start creating the, right, your database. The outcome, sorry, logical database, what it is going to kind of construction phase, right? The converting the ER model into the relational schema, right? The outcome, the logical schema is a relational database model. Got it? The logical database design is going to create based on the ER model. The fourth step, schema refinement. For example, based on your plan, right, you started the construction of your house, right? In middle of the, what it is called house, construction, you're going to think that, right, some plan change, right? So, or other requirements added, what you're going to do? You're going to change the plan in the, I mean, this design in the plan. Yes or no? Right? The plan modifications you're going to do in the middle of the construction of the house. The same thing here also, right? Analyzing the schema for the potential issues, right? Is any requirements or any requirement is needed, right? You are going to change the schema according to the based on the requirements. Methods, the normalization and the relational restructuring. The outcome optimize the schema to ready for the implementation, like house also, right? If you do any modification, the house is at the end of the day you're going to stay with the pleasant and the with the requirements what you going to meet in the future, right? The construction of the house here also same, based on the future needs of the applications we are going to change the refinement of the schema. Physical database design, right? The refined and optimized database for the storage and the access, right? End of the, I mean, the at last we are going to do the database design at the physical level, right? Build the indices and the clear tables, the redesign the parts of the schema as needed, right? Still every phase you are going to add the requirements based on the customer needs. In the application, the security design, this is the primary thing for the every application, right? For example, others are going to know your bank balance or your ATM pin and everything, so there is no right of security, right? For example, I deposited my amount in the X bank, right? Even others also knows the what how much amount is there in my account. Where is the security? The security is the plays a vital role, right? That is the purpose. The use of methods like a UML, Unified Modeling Language, for the software and the database design to focus on the right role and access control, right? For every role. So already in the last video we discussed about the, for example, in a bank there is a three kinds of users are there: a manager, cashier, and right, and the cashier and clerk, right? Everyone have a different role. Everyone have a different options based on their role. Yes or no? These things you are going to provide in the security level and the security enforcement in the applications. Got it? These are the 6 steps we're going to use in the database design. Now we'll see the ER diagram, entity relationship model, right? The main purpose of ER diagram is providing a logical view of a data system, because, right? So without planning, no one will going to start the building. Yes or no? Because we should know the where you have to what it is called, arrange the doors or the windows or the bedroom and the bathroom, right? Kitchen, everything how we're going to plan in the right design. The same here also, before going to start the database design, first you need to create a ER diagram. See, it is going to model the real world objects and the relationships, serves a blueprint for the database creation. In the ER model, you have a different symbols over there. We'll discuss the symbols and the features. So the simple conversion from the ER model to the database relational tables and the real world modeling of an objects, right? And the easy to understand and the create and the useful for the logical data visualization. Got it? These are the features of the ER diagrams. And the components of the ER diagram contains of 3 parts: entities. First one is the entities, attributes, and the relationships. The entities is the real world entity, real world existence is there, right? Students, employees, right? Those are the real world entities. And the attributes, for every entity there is a properties over there, right? Those properties is called as a attributes. And the relationships, association between the entities, right? For example, the relation between the student and teacher, and the relation between the student and the college, right? And the relation between the student and the book. These are the relationships. And the entities, these are again the subparts of the entities: weak entity and weak entity, and the attributes, key attributes, composite attribute, multi-valued attribute, and derived attribute. Coming to the relationships, right? One to one, one to many to one, and many to many, right? These are the relationships over there, right? And the components of the ER diagram. First one is the entity. Entity you are going to represent with the rectangle. In the rectangle, for example, is a student is a entity, right? right? So we're going to mention like this. Simply you write the rectangle and you write the student. This is called as a entity. This is called as a entity. Entity should be the real time existence should be there, right? And for every entity there is a attributes, oh sorry, and next weak entity is a double rectangle, double rectangle. So a entity is dependent on the other thing is called as a what it is called weak entity. Means one entity is going to depend on the other entity is called as a weak entity. Weak entity, got it? And the weak entity is going to represent the double rectangle. Double rectangle. Here they given the an example is the employee. Employee is a weak entity, right? Is purely based on the system design. So employee, right? And the attribute. Next attribute we are going to represent with the oval symbol. Oval symbol, right? Is the student. And the attribute name, roll number, department is called as an attribute. Attribute. Attribute is nothing but the property of the entity. Coming to the key attribute. Right, the key attribute, it is going to identify the every record of the table uniquely. Right. For example, you take the Aadhaar number. Right. Based on the Aadhaar number, we are going to find the any person in the India, because the Aadhaar number is the unique ID for everyone. Yes or no? Like that, the library based on the ISBN number, you are going to identify the book. Yes or no? Right? This is an example of the key attribute. Key attribute. Coming to the composite attribute. Right? An attribute contains, right, more than one values. Right? So attribute contains branches. Right? For example, name attribute. Name contains what is called name contains more than first name and the last name. Right? Sub attribute. When attribute contains sub attributes, then we will call it as a composite attribute. Next, a multi-valued attribute. For example, some members have the more than one phone number. Then we will call it as a multi-valued attributes. We are going to represent with the double vowel. We are going to represent with the double vowel. By using the double vowel symbol, we are going to represent the multiple is phone number. Phone number is an example of the multi-valued attribute. And derived attribute. So the example is the age. Right? Derived means we are going to retrieve the one attribute from the other attribute. For example, DOB, date of birth is one attribute is there, right? From the database, we are going to retrieve the right age attribute. Yes or no? Age attribute. Because based on the database, your date of birth, you are going to find out the age. Yes or no? That is called as a derived attribute. And the relationships. The relationships you are going to represent with the diamond symbol. Diamond symbol, right? This is going to give the relation between the more than two entities, right? The student and the college, student and the teacher, right? Student and the library. The kind of relationship it is going to give. A weak relationship. Relationship it belongs to the dependent and the employee, right? Dependent and the employee. Got it? The two persons who are going to depend on the employee, right, is called as a we're going to use the weak relationship model. And the participation constraints, line and the double line. Here they mention that the participation constraints. Got it? Line and the double line. Partially and the total participation or the partial participation. If depend on the totally, then it is a single line, right? If it is a two lines, right, then you will call it as a partially participation. These are things we are going to use for the database design. In the database design, so we have a 6 steps over there, right? Based on the 6 steps, we are going to design a database design. For the database design, we are going to use the ER model, entity relationship model. We see all the entities, attributes, and the relationships. And the next class, we are going to next video, right? We are going to concentrate on the attributes. Okay, thank you.